right. It is Thursday, January 19th, 2023. I apologize. Around lunchtime, and I'm on the west, but I live right near an Air Force base, and so we're going to hear the jets flying right over my house for the next hour or so still. So my apologies when it gets loud. I'm also trying something new called performance mode in the Streamlabs program I use to do my streams. So let me know if this stream is easier to read. I've had some comments that they feel like the information is so visual that it's important to have like a be able to keep up with like what's it called like just to make sure that the performance of the video is up to par. The problem is when I put it in performance mode, it disables preview, so I can't tell if there's an issue. Now, sometimes I can't tell that there's an issue anyway. Like last night, I moved the screen on accident and didn't even notice because I was so tired. But normally, I keep an eye on the preview. But if there's ever any issues, of course, with like sound or whatever, let me know. Normally, I can see these things, but in performance mode, I can't. Okay, so contact info. Right there is how you get a hold of me at Red Ben Trader on Twitter, and then the trade, the letter N, the word perform at gmail.com, trade N perform. That's the email to get a hold of my coach, Simon. Simon runs a trading room that I trade in daily. There's costs associated with it, but we use a systematic process to execute trades using an algo that the team has developed. If you want to learn more about it or ask him for a 5-day free pass, let him know that you heard about the room through me. And then he'll kind of screen to make sure that you're the kind of, that it's going to be a fit for you, or that you're not just wasting your time. And then if it sounds good, you can do the free 5-day pass, see what you think, and take it from there. So anyway, that's all the marketing I'll be doing today. So what we should be seeing now is the live screen capture. Let me just double check by disabling performance mode and make sure everything's working, and we look good. Okay, let's put performance mode back on. And yes, all right, just wanted to double check. Like I said, in the chat, if anybody is watching and wants to let me know, that'd be great. Otherwise, I think I'm good. So what I'm doing today is not necessarily coaching or teaching. I am doing a journal entry for myself, but also for anybody else in the Trade and Perform room, or who in the future joins the Trade and Perform room, so that you can sort of see what the process is when we evaluate new setups. Now, keep in mind, the whole team, everyone in the team has different ways of doing things, which is great. But for instance, there's a number of members that prefer to use statistical backtesting with a data set, and that's fine. And then there's others like me who prefer to do more forward testing, but it's all useful, right? I'm not saying that this method of like what I'm calling back testing, but I'm basically just reviewing the forward test. It's just complicated to explain that, but just to make sure everyone's clear, I'm not suggesting here that just because something worked today, for instance, that it's going to work tomorrow. And we all know that past performance is not indicative of future results, and it should be pretty clear that I'm not actually asking or suggesting that anybody buy or sell anything, and I'm not licensed to make those recommendations. So realize that what I'm doing is I'm reviewing what my system told me. So if I refer to the second person, like if I say like you can't short there or whatever, or you should buy there, if I say that, this is a journal entry for myself, right? So I'm in any of those conditions, just assume that I'm speaking to myself in the future, just to make that super clear, so no one gets the wrong idea, like that I'm trying to suggests that this strategy is going to work for you. Everyone's trading decisions are their own. Yeah, there's the first jet, and everyone needs to make their own choices. So I thought it might be fun to do this live. I do them normally on basically just looking over the charts for the day and then review the results on paper. But we can do not literally paper, but on through I use a spreadsheet to take all the data. So, but that does take some time, right? Before I get to the point where I'm taking data physically, when I have a new signal, or in this case, like 3 new signals that I want to research a little bit, or that I should say that I've been researching and I want to continue my research on, the first thing I'm going to do is after having the algo running for the whole trading day, I'm going to take the 2 markets that I'm most interested, NQ and ES, and I'm going to one at a time back up to like yesterday, and then go through basically bar by bar or signal by signal to see what the algo at the time suggested, what it was telling me, right? So it's not necessarily telling me buy, but it might be telling me this is a bullish condition where your aggressive trades to the long side can be executed. But then it's up to me to push the button and say, yes, I like this location. Yes, I like this time of day, right? It requires a lot of discretion. So that should also be crystal clear that I'm not using this as like an auto trader at this point. It's the possibility is there for that to develop, and we might have one in the future. But just realize that that's not how it currently works. Currently, the way it works is I would be looking, like I said, at location. So, for instance, these are the single prints. The green is previous single prints from the profile. And now we'd already traded through them, so they were repaired. But I leave them on my chart until we reject them, because a lot of times what will happen is after repairing the single prints, they'll try to use it as a support, and when that fails, the rejection out of it can be sold, or vice versa. The hard part is you don't know if it's the top or the bottom. This time it was both, but just using location, it's not wrong. It's just it's only a part of the equation. So if all you need is a 30% win rate, 40% win rate, if you're good at reading the profile and reading the market, you can probably trade primarily with location. The problem for me is that I'm trying to trade it with leverage. So I want to be able to not just take this and recognize that it's bearish, but I want to get paid for this little rotation here. What would normally take me, if I was using shares, would take me like a 2 or 3% move on the day. So to do that, we use futures, or I use futures. You can also use options, but futures are a little more straightforward. And this is a futures chart. So in this case, it's NQ. It says MNQ because if I send a trade through here, I don't actually trade through Sierra chart. You can see that usually my daily profit and loss is just 0 because I only use this for practice. So it's basically a way for me, if I don't, these days I haven't been doing it because I've had the Apex accounts, the evaluations. Whenever they have a sale, I'll grab 2 evaluations and I'll use those as my research account where I'm like experimenting with new ideas. If I think they're working, I'll start there as like a way to practice executing them. Whereas I will reserve the trades that I've already fully back tested and forward tested and I'm comfortable with. I know where they work and I know where they won't work. Those are the ones that I'm going to take in the real money account. But I like using the Apex evaluations better than the Sierra chart paper trading, because when you do have something that's working and you end up adding it to your trading plan, it'll reward you potentially by qualifying the account. And then when you get that new account, what I'll do is I'll use the idea is like use that account for that include that new setup in that new account, and that way I can literally forward test with P&L results what my potential drawdown is and stuff. And really the only risk is the from my point of view, as far as I understand, is the monthly fee that I'm sending to Apex to be able to be a prop trader there. If I take losses after I make profits, I can obviously lose the profits. But if the worst case scenario is they blow up the account or I blow up the account because I over leverage it, and then I'd have to start again, right? But I don't actually have my entire cash trading account on the line if I would make an execution error, which just kind of makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's why I do it that way. But that's kind of a tangent. But anyway, what we're going to be looking at is, like I said, I'm going to try to go through and say, all right, this is a location that I want to be working in, and that's again good enough to sometimes determine if I think the market's going higher or lower. But then on the higher time frame, but then I want to be able to zoom in here and say, do I want to sell this one, and this one, or do I want to sell this one, right? Like which one? Like how do you know? And if you're looking at this same here, I'll show you what this looks like on the here. If we're looking at this without the algo, let me just show you this. Sometimes people aren't familiar with Renko. I'll show you. I'll try to demonstrate what I'm saying. So these levels are from the footprint, the zones, and then the lines are from the footprint as well. And the dashed lines are my voodoo range levels here, right? So you could look at this on Wednesday, let's say, and you could, with the Renko charts, you can see eventually that the market is breaking down. It's going through prominent point of control. It made a series of lower lows and lower highs, and then if you were looking at this for Thursday night, I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday's London session, you might identify here that we've given up a low volume node, and that's an area that sellers might want to hold if they want to continue the price action lower. That's it. In other words, it's pretty obvious here just from location that it's bearish. That's what I'm trying to say. The problem is just knowing it's bearish isn't enough to get me into a trade if I need to risk no more than 20 points. So if I'm only willing to risk 20 points on NQ, or like 3 or maybe tops 5 points on NQ on ES, I'm not going to know whether or not I should short this one, or if I should short, can I do it this way? This one, right? Like it's not super clear. Is it this one? Is it all three? I know I want to be short, but I might not know when and where exactly. And then when it comes around, you can see what happens at the low volume node. We break through it, but then there's a significant retracement into it. See that? So do I buy this breakout and put my stop here for the 20 points? Well, then I would have gotten stopped out here, and then it runs, right? So I'm not saying I can solve all those problems, but the other thing that's tricky about trading in general is you might know the location and you might know the direction, but when am I confirmed for a reversal? When have I confirmed that I no longer want to be shorting? Like for instance, this still looks pretty bearish, so I think most people would think that they could short here. But what about when you get underneath and retest the low volume node? Is that an okay place to short? With a 20 point risk, do I have 1-to-1 or better? If I'm getting 60% win rate plus, can I get 1-to-1 here? And in that case, you could. But what about that one? Like, is that like based on location? Should I might say no, but it works, you know. And so and then well, if that one worked, then what about this one? Should that one work too then? Because this one worked and this one worked. And so I want to know that, or as early as possible, that there may have been some shorts trapped at the lows, and therefore I should not short these or this. So you can see a wick, but you don't really know what's inside that wick. It's hard to tell what's in here without seeing the numbers bars or the footprint, but eventually it becomes clear that it's bullish. You can see that they break into the low volume node. They try to reject the voodoo range level, and that one's inside of a low volume node, so that becomes a really good retest for a higher low. And then they hold it, they push over this important level, and then they top out, right? So would I know to short this one? I don't know. Would I know to short this one? Would I know to short this one? Or do I wait for the breakout? All of those questions are things that like we need a solution to if you're going to be a trader. You can't, in my opinion, I'm not comfortable anyway, just buying because it looks bullish, because this looked bullish just like this did. See, like the structure of like the wick underneath a stable, there's like a line and then you get under it, and it's especially good when you have this little dip and then run. Like that happens at least 3 times down there, and then you have it up here too, right? And here it's like the wicks that kind of, that one doesn't quite reach, but it's close. So after the fact, after those bars print, just structurally you could say, well, there's a chance we might break down or break up here, and then you'd have to look at the location and say, yeah, this is probably a place I'd like to get long or short because I got a target. Like if this one, if I saw this and then I wanted to wait and they get all the way down here and they pull it back and they reject off that same level, I'm going to be like, well, I can put my stop up here. Well, in this case, I'd have to put it behind this bar if I was going to wait for the bar to print to get 20 points of risk, right? If I only want to risk 20 points, I need to wait for this bar to print because we don't know that it's going to be a bear bar until it gets down here. That's how Renko works. It stacks the bricks based on which direction it's going. So by the time this closes, it's at the low, and you can't really anticipate the close. You have to wait for the evidence, because if it's not closed yet, you don't really know what's going to be there when it does close. But once the Renko bar closes, now you know, okay, this is a reasonable place for a stop above it, assuming I have some sort of order flow signal, like I'd find on the footprint or the DOM, right? And then here we have the same basic concept, but our risk reward just isn't as good, and we've had a sign of a move in the other direction, and so that's when they come up and stop you out or trail your stop. Note they do one more dip before they take off. And then they accumulate in this zone. So what we're going to see is that there's algos here. Warning about that early on. I know it's a lot. Oops. I know it's a lot. But we're not going to have to understand all of it. But let me show you an example. So, see how here, okay, so different time frames will show different information, obviously, because all the conditions are the same across time frames, but it's important to see that this NQ chart, which is a 24 tick Renko, and this NQ chart, which is a 15, let me unhide the drawings, tick Renko chart, there. So they're showing the same information, it's just that it doesn't take as much movement to print bars on the 15 tick as it does to print a bar on the 24 tick. So what we're going to see here, for example, is on the smaller time frame, we get a relatively reliable pattern, which is a green bar followed by a pink bar with a triangle on it, and that bar has a blue plus. It has to be all so, and there's a lot of patterns. Okay, lots and lots and lots of patterns. You don't have to trade them all. I'm going to share with you some of the new ideas, like I said, that I'm forward testing, but not yet trading with real money. So we're gonna see if I'm right about this, and then I also want to know that pattern number 125 or whatever you want to call it, right? This pattern that I'll eventually name as something. Are there other things happening that I can see on my indicator, either on a higher time frame, the same time frame, or a lower time frame, that could alert me that it's more likely to work? So one example of that I already know is that on the time frame that you're trading, or the time frame smaller than that, if you have what I call an aggressive momentum entry, it's all the entries that occur on pink bars. You must, in my opinion, have bullish volume dominance on your time frame, or the one above you, or the one below you. So slightly below is okay too. In other words, the buyers should be doing most of the work, or should be pushing with a lot of aggression. You should have a lot of positive delta, and you should also, just in a wave or a rotation, you should also have more volume than a wave up should have more volume than the typical wave down. Because in essence, if this entire thing was one Renko bar where it went down and then back up, the delta of that is the difference between this accumulated volume and this cumulative volume. So on a higher time frame, eventually that all these bars are just 3 bars. And then if I go higher than that, all these bars, I'll just show you. So if I go higher than that same spot, right here, all those bars that we saw on the 15 tick, they're all this one bar now. See that? It's all, well, did I not line it up? Why is it going all the way down there? It might be just slightly bigger than that, but it's all in there. Let me see. It's not. Okay, so I have to do this more. I'll actually show you. See, I went too far. I didn't realize that. So here, let's sync this up. It'll be super obvious. So that's the down bar. This is the up bar. See that? Down wave, gray. Up wave, green. In fact, it ends earlier than that. It ends here. Okay, so on this tick chart, the 15 tick, it took an entire rotation to do that, right? And so I have to look at the volume bars. But there's also delta in there, cumulative delta per bar of each individual bar that I can see on another chart that you guys can't see. This, right? So I have numbers bars showing deltas, right? Okay, how do I put it away? Oh, I see what I did. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, so now, okay, now that same area, which is marked off with purple, we go up to the 24 tick, and you can see that these waves are getting smaller. This one now only comprises 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, and the wave up is only 3 bars. So now let's go from a 24 tick to a 40 tick. If we're looking at the exact same spot, what we're going to see up here is that entire range is taken up by just the movement from this high to this high. So these 2 bars. And the result is the entire, it's like engulfed in this bigger wave up. You see that? This entire wave up now, which are Weiss waves, so cumulative volume waves, now just includes that entire move. So if I looked at the cumulative volume of that wave, guess what I'd find? I'd find that bulls were more active and more aggressive than bears. How do I know? Well, because on the smaller time frames, you can see it wave to wave. You can actually see
that comparing this and this, okay, it's slightly bearish on this time frame. If I put it right at the top, whoops, I print a little dash. See that this little dash right here? It shows up just a couple bars after the green one starts. So I need to break that line, and it's close, but it didn't quite do it on this time frame. See that? It's really close, but there's black in between. On this time frame, though, we did break the bar with the green wave. So the trouble is we didn't know for sure until here. And by that time, we're back up at the highs. So you wouldn't have absolute confirmation with the Weiss waves until up here, based on the 24 tick. But it was awfully close to right here to breaking it. So I would know that all I need is to break out one more bar. And as long as I don't take out this low or put in more than 2 bars, because we don't count 2 consecutive bars, we don't count as a wave. You need 3 consecutive bars to really consider it a wave. 2 bars consecutively is just a little pivot. So when it does this, where it gets really close, and then it gives you a down bar, and then the very next bar is purple, which means price is moving, but buyers are just pulling their orders off the order book, and that's primarily what's causing it. If that is followed up by a sign of aggression, or a volume shift, like a green bar, on Simon's, if you're in the trading perform room, it's a white box, but on mine, I just turned it green because I've got a different signal that's a box. And then, like I said, that's good. That's kind of the thing you want to see. If you look, though, we're not at support, right? We're not, there's no trap here. If it was happening under this apex and trap back into it, I could just buy it right away. So what I'm saying is if it came up here and this entire move here was shifted down a few bricks. For instance, if we didn't have these extra pink bars, and instead it was just white, and then this white one was here, and then it pulled back, making a lower low than this, but not this, right? Like a head and shoulders. Then you can just buy the green bar, as long as it's bullish, and in that case, it would look bullish. There's other ways I've shared in other videos how to like draw trend lines on the volume zone oscillator, or other ways that you can use to figure out if it's okay to take aggressive trades. But that's not the newest idea. The newest idea I have. But anyway, what I was saying is that if this isn't a trap, you have to wait for the pink bar to follow and get a triangle. And if it's got a plus sign, but not a pink bar, and then the next one's a pink bar, you can even chase it a little bit for a small scalp, and the probability of a breakout increases. So that's something I've known about with the pink bars being a good entry, but I did not know about the plus signs being able to be followed by a pink bar and still get in, that it would actually produce decent risk reward on a 20-point risk. That's thanks to Edda in the room. I've seen that the pink bars work, but I haven't figured out that exact pattern. But what I meant that I've been watching for a while is green followed by pink, particularly with a plus sign. So when those are all on the same bar and they follow a green one, that's something I've been seeing working, especially on the smaller time frames. And then if you get that on the smaller time frame, but the higher time frame shows Edda's pattern, plus sign, pink bar, especially with a green bar or a star down here where it's something strong acting as support and you never broke this support, that pink bar is potentially going to cause a breakout. See, these pluses, they are like dynamite, as I said last night in my other stream. The way they work, all of these signals are conditional tools. They are conditional alerts telling us this specific condition, either on this chart or on the DOM or on the profile or on like a PNF chart. Like there's a PNF chart that also is looking, I'm sorry it's so colorful, but like there's this that's looking for stuff, right? I don't actually trade with it, but I then can overlay those signals onto here to say, hey, there's this thing happening structurally on the profile or on the PNF chart, or the volume profile is shifting, and so I want to be alerted on this chart that that's happening over here. Like, tell me about the fact that I'm getting some new movement here, right? So those are all. That's what all these signals are. I'm not going to go out through what each one of them means, but what I want, like I said before, what I want you to see is that the patterns repeat repeatedly, and the key is knowing when should I follow the patterns and when shouldn't I follow the patterns. So this works hand in hand with the new idea that I've been working on, which involves what's called a filter. So I would recognize, for instance, that bars with a little X on them, which is one of my own signals. So there's a red one and there's a blue one. I would notice that when they're at support, they would work a lot, but sometimes they wouldn't. And so that's normal, right? Sometimes you have stops, even if it's a pretty good signal. But what I wanted to know is, wouldn't it be cool if there's certain conditions that I could be alerted to on a different time frame or a different chart, something I normally wouldn't be able to keep an eye on, but I can ask Sierra Chart to. And if I filter out all of the X signals when condition X or condition Y is happening, then I can avoid potentially some of those stops. Now, you will also avoid trades that way, right? You won't be able to you'll miss trades that work because nothing is 100%. No filter, nothing is 100%. So you will sacrifice some gains, but the idea is that if it filters out more of the noise and only lets in a little bit of noise, it's probably a useful filter. So an example of those filters are these colors down here on the volume zone oscillator. And that's the other piece of this. That's going to tell us, should I be looking long or short? B, should I even be trading this area at all, or should I quit trading it? For instance, like if you take a stop and then you look down there and you see the color change, you may have thought that it was an area where you were going to take two trades in the same spot, but if the color changes, you may want to rethink that based on what you're trying to do. And then I think I'm on C. The other thing that it can tell you is what to expect, like when it comes. So it's what state is the market in, and which gear should I be in? Should I be in aggressive gear, where I'm willing to buy when I have entries that are on, for instance, pink bars or triangles, the ones that don't occur right away, but they kind of are follow through moves, like what we call momentum trades. That I would only want to do if I can be aggressive. And then there's also situations are aggressive with the trend, and then there's also situations where I want to be aggressive counter trend. So it would be nice to know when I shouldn't do that, and instead I should go only with the one direction. These will help with that. I'm going to demonstrate how for my journal. It's not 100%, but it will help. Then, in addition to telling me which gear to be in, or to hint me into which gear to be in, they also will act as like potential pivots to change the conditions of the market. So, for instance, a good example of that is this the purple is a bearish signal. The inverse of the purple, the inverse condition, is pink. And like I said, I'm not going to go into how to build them right now, but just know that those two are inverse. So, and I'm not talking about the pink bars and the purple bars. I'm talking about, I just try to keep my colors kind of consistent. It makes it complicated when I talk about it, but you'll see that like they relate. But when you're trying to explain it, there's more than one thing that's yellow, more than one thing that's purple. So I want the color schemes to kind of stay the same. That's just how my brain works.
I can't have a million colors. I can really only handle like 10. And they all have to have like inverse, so it's really 5 sets, you know. So yes, this is a bullish condition, and this is the inverse. Sorry, pink is bullish condition, purple is inverse bearish condition. So it's not necessarily a sell signal immediately, but what it tells me is if I have a pattern that coincides with that direction and the conditions are right, I can take that directional trade. But also, if that bar gets overtaken, for instance, here, this bar is the one that's associated with the purple. See that? Purple background is associated with this orange Renko bar with the diamond on it at the high. So it tells me right away, let me back up just a little bit. So it tells me right away, if I'm watching this go along and it's going higher, right? And I got my little signal here, and then I got the follow through signal here, so I'm getting excited. Everything looks good. You know, let me just erase the lines because I don't need them. And then I see this purple bar. I would need some other information like the location before I would immediately think that it's going to turn. It's not necessarily the end of a trend, but it's saying if we put most of the volume up at the top of this wave, if most of the volume is at the top, we could make a significant retracement. And then if most of the volume was in the middle like this, we're probably headed to test that high volume area, particularly if it was also old resistance. In other words, if we're expecting some range expansion, so for instance, we made a low and then a higher high, and then we made like a lower high and then a higher high again, that's where these really start working. But in general, you only want to take them, well, I shouldn't say take them. You only want to start even thinking about taking shorts when you get the purple bar and when you've been moving in that direction for quite some time. So see how long this trend has been going on like this and here. So it's not just time, it's also like acceleration. So see how that was like a linear 45-degree angle lift. Generally, I'm not shorting as soon as I see that happening. There's no reason to fight those. And I've got more signals there that we'll get to in a minute. The pink bar here on a pullback like this, when it's a bigger expansion, see how they broke over the high and then they swung all the way down, and it's this move is bigger than what it was. So we're not in consolidation. We broke out of consolidation, and then they're coming back and trying to trap sellers. That's when the pink bars and the purple bars work the best. And it's better if you're going with the trend like this. But if we get exponential, see how this just like exponential, and the reason is because we trapped a seller, but I'll get into that in a minute. If you get to that point where we trap a seller and we go exponential, so range expansion, and then you get the purple signal, and around then you also have an aggressive entry that we already know about, like the orange bars, which are the POC shift down. You know now that the next step is probably going to be come back to wherever this volume node is, because this move was like capitulation. So watch what happens. I don't totally remember exactly where it goes, but if I remember correctly, it does come back towards that volume area. Let's see. See that? Right back to it. And so when you get, what I think how I started talking about this, is I said the X's, which is another signal that I talked about in other streams I'm not going to get too into now, but it is, if it's at support, it's often a good opportunity to take trades to the long side. It will sometimes also be at the inverse, the red one will be right at resistance as well. Like see this one over here, right? That's usually where they work, is where you're back at support. So on a tiny little time frame,
look at here. If you look at this, this move on a tiny time frame, we made a good 61.8 retracement, a very natural retracement, but it's still bullish. That's where they tend to work. Otherwise, it's after really, really expansive moves, like it went way too low, and then you get a bunch of volume at the lows, and then you get the blue X. Those tend to work as well, but not all of them are good enough to buy. So it's hard. Like I said, you have to. It's not just that it's bullish. There are other conditions. So one of those conditions where these X's kind of stop working for a little while is when you have a lot of volume on the X bar itself. So it'll have a pink diamond behind it. It's kind of hard to see, but when it's pink behind it like that, what that basically means is that they had to work, bulls had to work really hard to push that bar to the highs, yet all the volume is somewhere lower than where there were sellers just previously. So in other words, we're probably going to pull back still. It may not be ready to go unless the momentum is really strong. But the fact that it's an X, it would be best if it didn't have that diamond, unless you're at a established support that has been tested repeatedly. Okay, so there's some rules, and you get used to it, and you don't have to trade all the signals. But that would be an example of conditions that would make this bar work better. So my ideas were, there's all these conditions that I have to memorize and I have to implement. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just code some of that into a background color so that whenever all those conditions are there, I'll get a signal, and when they're not all there, it won't trigger. So I won't have to think so hard about like, okay, X, low volume, I want it, low volume, I want it at support, tested support, or after capitulation. And by the time you've gone through all those steps, it's too late to enter, and the market V's, right? So like I said, to try to improve that, I've got these new filters. Hold on really quick. Okay. And when we don't get a trapped seller down here, we don't have another sell signal since the purple. See, this purple was we're going to call a bearish signal. And then it was followed by a bearish. There's a tiny little purple X plus there. The purple ones I don't use as much as the blue ones. So the blue ones I pay more attention to. So this is kind of hidden on purpose because I don't use them that much. But so this is where the seller was. Okay, where this red background on the chart was. That's kind of where the big seller was. And then we went down, buyers pulled their orders, and we immediately got this X bar, which says they're working really hard to take back this like high volume area. But if you look back here, the last seller was above us, right? The last bearish condition is above us. So on this time frame, we shouldn't really expect that X to produce much more than maybe one bar because it hasn't trapped anybody yet. Okay, so if you look down here, there's no trapped seller right before the X, right? There's no colored bar. There's no, like, the purple bar is too far to the left. I guess I'm jumping around a little bit, but there is our first sign of a bearish condition. So the brown is similar to the purple. It's another set of bearish conditions that tend to make bearish trades work better, right? I'm not going to get into what they all are, but what you'll see, and then the inverse of that is white. So white is a bullish condition that tends to make aggressive momentum trades to the upside work better. So the interesting thing is when it's bearish, those brown backgrounds will generally result in lower prices. Not necessarily right away, but if you get an aggressive trader to that direction to follow through, it should go that way. What I'm finding is a better trade, though, than just trying to anticipate which way we're going to go. Wait until they throw that signal and see if you can trap him. That is the better trade. So now I know that this guy, right? Oops, I did that in the wrong spot. The red outlined bar. Wow. The red outline bar right there has a condition where you would, you would expect if bears are in control that they would now push lower. So what we can do is we can say, well, in that case, if I get some bullish volume above that, in other words, if you follow this yellow line, those are all the VPOCs of the individual bars. If we can get that above there on a bar that's white or green, not any other color, but white or green, it suggests that volume has shifted over that seller and he is trapped, and the result will be potentially a move to the upside. Now, until then, we probably want to hang out because unless we got a bull signal here and we are in a bull trend, it's probably consolidating. So, not always, but usually you can hang out here until that happens. Okay, so you get another bull or bear condition. See that? So now this is where we could get him trapped, right? So now we chill. Okay. All right, another X. Remember what we said about the X earlier? They work best when there's sellers positioned below you, right? So look where this closed. Now this one's got all the volume on it again, right? It's got the pink diamond in the background. This is now established support rather than just like a shot in the dark. It's gotten a couple tests here. And more importantly, if you look at where the volume was on this bar right there, that yellow dash, that is slightly below the close of this bar. So, and then we went lower than that. Whoops, wrong one. We went lower than that, right? And then shot back up, closing the bar, at least pushing once above that level. So whoever was there selling has either pulled their order out or moved it higher. So that alone is good information because there was an aggressive seller there that should have gotten continuation, and now he is potentially offsides depending on where he got in the bar. Now, it doesn't mean it's always going to break this high. No, not always, right? But a lot of the time, if you wait for that trap seller before you take the X, is it going to be way better than if you took the first one without the trap seller? Yes. My results are yes so far. So the next thing that happens is you get the plus sign, which again is the dynamite signal, right? So if we weren't here before when we talked about it, it's, I can explain it like this. Okay. When you have consolidation, you need two things to get out of that consolidation, particularly with the trend. If you're trying to momentum trade, you need, first of all, at least one trapped aggressive trader on the opposite side behind you. And then you also need what we could call a spark. So some sort of order flow shift. If you were looking at the DOM, at the limit order book, you can learn to see it. And after the fact, you can see it on the footprint. But if you're trying to watch the footprint at the same time, it's pretty tough to see these because they happen relatively quickly. You'll see them, you'll just not know about it till it already happens. But everyone's seen it. It's just like that sudden burst where, there's like aggression only to one side, and that aggression results in price suddenly like shifting higher as well. So the plus sign is kind of like the dynamite. If it's placed on a wall and you know that opposite side of the wall has some open space in it, that's going to work. It's going to be a tool that works really well to get you out of, like, let's say a maze, right? If you're stuck in a maze and you're trying to find your way out and you find some dynamite, the right way to use that tool is to find a wall that you believe on the opposite side it gets you home free out of here, right? So you found a resistance, you tape that dynamite to the resistance, and then you find a spark and you explode it. And if the spark is big enough, and the explosion's big enough, there was enough dynamite inside, right? There's enough. The trap trader is the energy inside the dynamite. So if that was big enough, then you break through with the spark. The spark doesn't have to be very big, actually. The dynamite does. Same thing with trading. But then what if you break through to the other side and you can fit yourself through there, you can escape the maze. On the other hand, if you just find a spark and light dynamite on fire, like light the fuse and just throw dynamite at the wall, or just throw dynamite in random places in the maze, especially down long hallways, right, where you've already been going that direction for a while, and then maybe like you turn around because you hear something and you just throw the dynamite down the hallway. The chances that that does you any good is pretty low. So same thing with these plus bars. They're going to do well when you're up against the wall of resistance and that's been established, and you are looking for an opportunity to trap a trader. And if you have evidence that you've already trapped a trader, great. But this is kind of it's like a last effort by bulls to turn the key on those trapped traders. So it's not always bullish, because sometimes you are in the wrong place, right? You're in the hallway, throwing dynamite at a hallway, and so they just roll over. Or you're at resistance and you get the dynamite, but there's no spark. The spark generally is a pink bar that comes after the plus sign. Now, here's what's really tricky, and it's probably the hardest part of running this system. If you want to catch a lot of trades, if you're the type of trader who wants to trade more than 20 times a day, you want in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, you're going to need to watch a smaller time frame to get these momentum scalps. These are just scalps, by the way. Momentum scalps. Like breakout trades, kind of like what you might do with like a penny stock, right? It's honestly close to that. It's just not to that extreme. But the way it works is very similar to your classic breakout trade. The difference in futures is that you don't necessarily expect them to continue on like a higher time frame unless the dynamite and the spark are both placed on the higher time frame. So here, for instance, you have the dynamite, the plus, and the spark. But this is a 15 tick Renko chart. It only takes 15 ticks of movement, right, to print in the same direction, to print a new brick. So it's bullish on that tiny time frame, but it doesn't mean that you're going to break resistances on a higher time frame. Now, and you go up to the 24 tick, we got the dynamite, but we have not yet gotten the spark. So what does that tell me? It tells me this high on this time frame here might not break on the first try. That's what it tells me. I don't know if it does, but I would consider, when I saw this exact scenario, I would say, okay, both time frames got traders trapped. There was brown before it, and this one was perfect because it's at the lows. This one was into the lows, but still pretty good. But it's that last rotation. It's not from the highs where the purple pivot came. I shouldn't call it that. I already have something that's called a purple pivot. The purple. What's the best way to say the purple? Let me think about that. I'll get back to you. But the purple background signal there, it's here. Yeah, wait, that's pink. Where's the purple one? I don't know. But there's a big difference between, see, he's not trapped by this action. See, he's up here. This purple is associated with this high. He's not trapped, right? So on this big time frame, that guy is not even off sides. He's not concerned about the market coming back at him at this point. And we have no spark after our dynamite. If you want to go to a higher time frame and just see kind of how this works, like from one to the next, on this time frame, you're obviously bullish. You wouldn't have this whole thing. See, this bar doesn't print till 11/4/07/25. This bar prints, 11/4/07/25 is right. So good. So you would have the whole bar. Cool. So with this information, what we see is bullish. And remember, the pink underneath is a bull condition that says that that basically if you have range expansion, this could not continue, but this could turn higher. Now, it's not always that useful way up high like this. Where you want the purple is actually after a move down or during an expanding negotiation, not during like a tiny little consolidation, and certainly not right at the highs. So while it is bullish, it it's not yet probably ready to be triggered. But you don't have the same plus sign with the pink bar. You don't have the dynamite signal on here. So just realize that it may not be ready to break this resistance. If you had all that information in front of you, you could estimate what might happen next, and then that might help you decide if you want to hold runners or not. But my guess would be that we don't break that high on the first try. We might. I don't actually remember. Do we? Oh, we reject. Do we reject it? Oh, we just rip right through it. Cool. we take the liquidity above it. So I'm wrong in that case. It actually went further than I thought it would, but that's okay, right? You're not going to be perfect. Now, when would you have known that that might be happening? I saw it, but I didn't want to. I wanted to see what happened first, so it didn't sound like I was like getting out of my prediction. Right here, what did we get? We got a white bar on the 24 tick, right? The time frame that I'm actually looking to trade on. If the white and the brown are inverse signals, and they're an indication that continuation of a trend is likely. So if you're in a trend and you have momentum and you see white at or near a breakout point, and you get an aggressive signal, pretty much anything, a star would be a good example, a diamond, anything like that, a box, in the bar, like any aggressive, anything but like a colored bar, basically. You don't really want to see a pink bar way up here. Maybe it still works. I'm not going to say that. I don't know for sure. Even a triangle might be good enough at that point. But if you see an aggressive bar that's either associated with the yellow, the white, or it comes right after the white, if the like the triangle coming here might actually still be okay. I'm not totally sure about that, but typically, if what I really want is a little pullback where this is tested, but then they return back up, that would be ideal. But generally, it means the market expects to go higher. But remember, if the trend is going in reverse, like here, if it's bullish on a bigger time frame, and you get these continuation bearish signals, the chances that this guy gets trapped are high. The challenge is that he doesn't always get trapped by the very next bar. It may give you a signal like purple bar star, purple bar X, purple bar green bar, what we call a 2-bar combo, coming in just under where the aggressive seller was, which was here. So aggressive seller, if it was bearish, like I said, you're going to get continuation lower. When you don't, and instead you get one of these 2-bar combo reversals or other reversal signals, and the time frame that you're trading on is primarily bullish, or you're in supernova, for instance, it's going to make the traps and any other reversal work way better, because it's a trap. This is the trap trader. So now not only have you trapped back into this bar, trapping anybody in this wick that sold down there, but this guy was also aggressive, and now you've closed above the VPOC of that bar. So the chances that this is a immediate lift is much higher when you have this. It often will not give you an opportunity to get back in after that. So you kind of, if you see it, you just kind of have to be on it. But anyway, that is a good way to filter out, is to wait for that trapped seller when you're bullish. Now, like I said, if you're bullish and you get the inverse, you get the bullish signal, it's the inverse of the brown, right? But in this case, we're not counter trend, we're with the trend. This bar, or like I said, the next one, anyone with a aggressive signal, probably going to continue the trend. So we get the triangle, and then we get and then we're off. So that does make sense when you look at this. When you look at the smaller time frame, which is interesting always to kind of check back and forth. Remember back here on the smaller time frame, I usually watch both at the same time. We had the trapped seller, just like we did on this time frame. It's the exact same bar. It's just a different signal. So once this guy, there's two of them. Once this guy, right? This one, and this one. get trapped. In other words, once we get above him with volume. So if it's this right here, we need to get a VPOC above, or a close, sorry, above this bar here. And it preferably should be white or green. So let me just erase the lines. Okay, so this, we need a close that's white or green above that on this time frame to have confirmation that the trend can continue. You can see that you really didn't get any signals to buy this breakout on this time frame, and that's fine. You don't have to buy every one, but you did get the dynamite signal back here. See that? Plus sign, pink bar. So you would have had to anticipate this trader getting trapped a little bit. It's an aggressive trade. You're saying, well, I've got dynamite, I've got a spark. All I got to do is break above this white line and we're good to go. So how do I trade it? I'll take the trade. What I did today is I'll take the trade, and then if we hop up here on a pink bar, I'll take like 2/3 of my trade off here, no matter what time frame it is. So on this time frame, it's 2 bars up. So here's my entry, 96. 2 bars up on this same time frame is 403. Right? So it's not even 10 points, but it's something. Then the other one I leave as a runner. So see, they pulled back against that because this guy is trying to defend. That's why you get this big wick. And once that's confirmed, you can be confident that this is a safe spot, quote unquote, to look for trade entries. Even if you didn't take the aggressive trade, the more conservative trade is right there. You get the white, it corresponds with the purple bar, green bar. You're in supernova, you're making higher highs and closing above apexes. It's perfect. So you don't have to take the aggressive trade, because remember, sometimes the aggressive trade is not going to work. You didn't get a white or a pink or a blue here. And so sometimes the plus followed by pink is just going to hit resistance and reject. It depends on how strong this trend is. And you can look at things like the volume zone oscillator or look at cumulative volume and give yourselves some hints. Like here, volume is way bigger on the bull side than it has been for a long time. So it's building volume into the breakout. That's a good sign. So that's what I'd want to see to be aggressive. And then if you look at the same time, I think we showed this already, but at the same time on the other time frame, the tricky part is that volume was big on the way down. See that? So you could think this high might get defended, which is exactly what I thought would happen. But instead, they just trapped all these guys right there, right there. Now they're trapped. See all the big, see how much bigger these bars are compared to these bars, that big shift. That means that this guy right here, which is the X, had a lot of volume, right? So there's a lot of sellers in here. Well, once you get over sellers, what tends to happen is they try to defend it. So you're going to pull back into it. And then if buyers show up like that, boom. So that's what you want to see. And eventually it gets, at first it's like, it's a lot to think about, right? It's just like, oh my God, like how am I going to learn all these signals and all these patterns, stuff like that. It's a lot at first. And that's why you start with just doing like maybe 1 or 2 trade setups and then just master those and then later on add a new one, because a lot of them are going to be very related. But this pattern of higher highs, higher lows, supernova, right? Breaking above apexes, closing above them, and then pulling back and holding the low that created this apex. So like this low holds, we make an apex, we close above the apex, we pull back, and that initial one holds. That's bullish already. We already know that. So you can already start turning up the aggression on which trades you want to take. So here I might be like, you know what, normally I want to get below this and get a trap because it's high, and then it comes back up because it's higher odds. But since it's supernova, and I've got pink, which I know likes to assist with range expansion, and it looks like I'm not consolidating, I'm actually expanding in range. I'm trading with the trend, and I got 2-bar combo. So take the green bar, go. Then I get purple. I get plus pink. So if I wasn't sure about this entry, well, now I've gotten the buyer, right? And so the question is are you above a seller? And that's questionable, right? We don't have a clear seller underneath us, so this one might pull back, and it tries on a smaller time frame. Why? Because on the smaller time frame, someone got trapped, right? We just looked at that. So if you've got the traps occurring on the small, where'd that go? If you got the traps occurring on the smaller time frame, oh, I guess it's just a similar situation. No, I'm sorry. That was totally different. So this was number 1 on this time frame, right? And then the trigger was on the smaller time frame. That's right. Sorry, I got confused. The trigger. Where was it? Where the hell was the? It was way back here. Okay, I just went too far. So it just happens over and over again. It's hard. So this one. Did not produce the dynamite signal here, but the fact that we have trap traders below us makes the smaller time frame worth a scalp, in my opinion. On that time frame, we also got above this seller. Where's his VPOC? So this guy is here. His VPOC is below our entry. Trapped. Potentially trapped. Aggressively trapped. With a pink bar. Okay, so like it literally just happens over and over, you guys. I get lost by like which one we did because they all look the same after a while. Like you just need to learn the pattern and then just see, do I just have that checklist? And I just find it easier to have it color coded rather than having to look at like the footprint and every single chart. Like, oh wait, do I have a trap trader? Like, it's right there. Oh yeah, I've definitely got trap traders below me. I've got brown bars, or if I had purple bars down there, it'd be good too. So these 2 time frames will work together. In other words, until we run out of juice, and eventually, I think was it this one, where it had it on the top? Yeah. So this one we got the plus. This is the one we did at first, and then the pink on a higher time frame, but the trap sellers were visible on the lower time frame. So what that would tell me is that this is worth a scalp on this time frame. So I'd be targeting 10 points, and that is 77, and we get it, 92. Because I don't have the trapped signal here. I don't have any brown or purple underneath me, but I did on the smaller time frame. So I can take it I can trigger in with my time frame, and I can take it because the smaller time frame identified the trap traders that were down there, right? It does not mean that the bigger time frame is going to break out, but it probably means the smaller one will. And the smaller one breaking out in this case is like 10 to 15 points, I would guess. Am I making any sense, or am I totally rambling? Because let me know. Here, you know what? I'll take a natural break. I'm gonna come back in like a minute and a half. I'm gonna go grab a new drink, and that way, if people have if they're totally lost, if you can identify where you're lost, tell me. If the problem is I don't know what all the colors mean, that's not actually a problem. That's don't worry about that, right? They mean what they mean. All I'm saying is, can you see the pattern? Like, drop the idea that you need to know everything that's happening in the market at all times. It's just like the same concept as like why you don't need to know what moved the market. It might matter later for a bigger time frame trade, but when it comes to whether or not you want to buy it or not for a small scalp, who cares if it was because of a tweet or because of a release? You know, if you're going to be in and out of it within 2 minutes anyway, it doesn't matter. And so what I'm saying is, who cares what all these signals mean in reality, when all you need to know is that if there's a bearish signal underneath you and you get this pattern, chances are you have a scalp, right? Is it a big scalp? No, it's off the smaller time frame. So you'd get, if you put your stop right underneath this bar, you would get stopped out on your runners if you decided to hold runners for some reason. But then you'd get re-triggered here once again on the higher time frame because of this entry and the fact that it's bullish. So it's not like you can just see this and be home free with no MAE. You're not going to have a. It's not. There's going to be risk, right? It can roll back on you at any time. It's still the markets, but the pattern is consistent enough that, and if you can identify what those patterns are, like trap trader plus followed by pink, all of those things are there and they're in the right place. Cool, go. Right, get the 10 points. If I want to hold a runner, I'd need some reason on the higher time frame that I'd be okay getting a really big pullback, because on this higher time frame I don't have any evidence that anyone's heavily trapped yet. But then once they expand the range and we get this sign of aggression along with the pink bar and it's in a bullish trend, these are perfect for pullback buys. The pink is perfect for a pullback buy. That can, because it suggests that range is expanding. I'm not consolidating like it might look like I'm doing. I'm actually expanding range. I'm going to make like maybe a lower low and a higher high potentially. So that's what those pink ones say. See that? Range expansion. Now, like I said, purple is the opposite of that. So that says range expansion, but from the upside. So it doesn't always work as a reversal. You don't just want to short it. But when it does work, be cautious unless you can recover that level. I think we talked about this a little bit, but here's the level where that guy came in. So as soon as I see the purple, I'm like, okay, let's pause. They're trying to expand back to the downside. They could take out this low. What they're probably going to do is get stuck where all the volume was, which is this pink line. And that's exactly where they try to bounce it, right on the pink line, right? Am I buying that because of that? No. And then I get a bear signal, which says if it's bearish, you're going to get continuation lower. Does this look like a bearish trend? Not really to me, but if you thought it was, you could sell it. And then it would go lower for one bar, and then it would come back up like this, and with no signal other than the box, which is not relevant in this situation because we don't have any buy signals here. We don't have any whites, we don't have any blue, and it's not at a breakout because the blue boxes work better when breaking out of consolidation. And so we chill, and then we have, oh, it's going to continue lower is what it's saying. If it's bearish, it will go lower. They try to go lower. Now we get the buy signal. Trap back in. It's supernova still, making higher highs, closing above apexes, make a gentle pullback, maybe a couple waves, and then try to save it. The confirmation is the trapped traders on both time frames. Meaning, not only could this be a scalp, but this high might be coming out. And then we get plus sign, dynamite, spark on the smaller time frame. So now it's like, I don't know if we're going to make it here, but we might try. And they do it. We get continuation if it's bullish, it says. Be ready for continuation if it's bullish, and we get the continuation. Is there any reason to fight this trend? Zero. Zero, 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 zero reason to fight this trend at this point. You might look here and be like, but it's resistance, and you said that it was only on the smaller time frame, so they're probably going to run into trouble. That's not good enough for me to short. I need shorts that work 60% of the time or more. I don't want this might turn here. Like, I want to be like the third person to short it, not the first. Like, I'll go with like the third, like after the first one has some success, and then they pull back and they go all the way up through the stop, and then those stops get sweeped and they fall again, and then it pulls back and makes a lower high. That's when I'll short. I don't need to short this. That's in my opinion, that's just burning money. So we'd keep going here, and we'd see that what they end up doing on the smaller time frame. Now remember, the smaller time frame is going to have more trap traders and noise. If you're used to trading a bigger time frame, the smaller time frame is not something you want to trade off of, but it does quote unquote work. So you got a sign of a range expansion to the downside. Well, look at where the last apex was. See this little purple thing? So what they're saying is they're gunning for this. Or for where all the volume was in the last wave. Well, where's all the volume in the last wave? Right there. So that's your target. If you want to get in when this closes, because that's probably the very first opportunity you might see this purple bar. Sometimes they come just a little bit late even, depending on what's going on the order flow, because it's not aligned perfectly with Renko. It's actually coming from like other information, other charts are influencing it, so it doesn't always come exactly on the close. Once it's there, it's there, but it doesn't always show up immediately. Sometimes it shows up early, and then you just have to wait for the actual close to make sure that it's not going to go away. But at times you'll have to wait a bar, so you may not even know that the purple closed yet, which is fine because I'm not looking to take that short. Right? I'm not interested in that. But once I see purple, it's like, okay, they're probably going to try to come back and take this apex, or at least come back to this volume area, right? They come through the VPOC, the place where all the volume was. They put a volume on this tiny little time frame. They put a bar underneath where all the volume was. What that means is that on this tiny little time frame, if they reject here and it goes lower than this, it's probably rolling over on this little time frame. But instead, what they did was they trapped the purple trader. Oh wait, not yet. So they're going to try to trap that purple trader. So that purple trader is associated with the one on the top. So we'll move our little trap line up to the top. So they're saying, you go ahead and short down here. We'll just spike it up with our continuation signal and blow you out, is what the smaller time frame's saying. And the higher time frame's just saying, it's still bullish, I'm not freaking touching it, right? And so they rip through. They try to defend it with pink bar star. That will work great. That X will work great when it's bearish. But it's not. Look, we got a continuation sign even on this time frame saying we're likely going higher on this time frame. When that holds, this is home free. So on the higher time frame, what that looks like, if you want a momentum trade, on the higher time frame, what that looks like is like this, with the star coming off on the higher time frame, way at the top. Now, it's a strong move. This is like bringing your queen into the game in chess. The winner is usually the one who's strongest, but if we lose that queen, it's probably going to roll. So now we can put our line here and say, hey, if we develop some volume down there, or we get a signal down there below that, it's probably going to roll. So we go a little further. So remember, brown, bearish continuation. Is it bearish? Not yet. This doesn't look bearish, right? This is at the very high. This is not at support. These work better into support. Whoops. These work better into support. Where did that go? Ah, I went too far. Where was it? There was a star. Wasn't it this? Okay, right here. This works better into support, not at resistance. Okay, they get a continuation signal in the tiny, tiny, tiny little time frame. So they're saying, we're probably going at least 10 points higher. We're going to try. Right? They go a little higher, and they get another turn. So now on this time frame, what does that look like? It's a bearish X, like this, right? What did I say? When it's bearish, that's going to be the turn. Do we think it's bearish yet? I don't. I don't have any reason to think it's bearish. But when would I think it's bearish? Well, if we measure all the volume, chances are we're bearish when we get under that. Not just with price, but with volume. And we already knew that this queen up here needs to be saved. So if we trade down here, it's probably going to roll. And this says that continuation could break down if they don't trap them. It goes so close. So I'd probably wait for an aggressive signal down. Notice the smaller time frame said range expansion, buy. So we may need a 10-point rip to the upside before this can roll over. And no signal? No signal. It rolls down a little bit but without me, which is fine. I'm not going to be the aggressive short. It looks cool, like, oh wow, look, the X told you where it was. It's like, yeah, but you can't sell all of them. So it's only useful as a marker for like where I want to look for shorts. Now that worked, we have a brown background that produced a drop, right? Now that worked, now I have I can turn my gear to start looking for shorts rather than longs, particularly when we did not get a re-entry here. If this would have been pink, then what it's saying is most likely we are expanding range. We got under this low, we're making a high, right? We got one on the smaller time frame way back here. And see what it did? Expanded range and then gave it up. So that is generally, where was that? That is generally a problem. I think we were here. Were we here? I don't remember. Somewhere around here. So generally that is a problem. Not here. Not getting a signal here. It is a trap though. We've traded under this low and back up through it. So what that means basically is if you want to try to scalp back up to this level right here, it probably will work more often than it won't. But once it gets there, there is no guarantee that it's going to stay up there. And so they get up, they try, they get the dynamite set up, right? The plus sign on both time frames. And then what happens? No spark. Instead, it says bearish continuation on the small time frame, bearish continuation on the higher time frame. Guess where we're going? Oh, and then plus sign to the upside with a purple bar that breaks through its VPOC is death. Death. Unless it's at support, like, and it's a new wave up. If it's like this, where it's like after, like, look at the MACD histogram. I have it as a line, because it's easier for me to see. But look at that divergence into the high. That's when these X's, if you want to be aggressive, that's when these X's work. High, high, high volume up to the top. Divergence on the indicators, and a bearish signal on that indicator. So if you want to be aggressive, you can find it. It's just not how I usually trade. I would rather take the trade here if I get a star or a diamond like this. But the purple bar after the plus is almost as good. It sometimes just falls away. Otherwise, I'll wait for the next rollover as long as I don't get competing ideas. But look what happens here. After that roll down, right? We got the nice roll down. We got under this volume. So now, where all this volume was, this pink line, this right here, that is now the point where sellers need to hold to keep buyers from taking this into a new high. So what we can do is we can mark that off here. That's where all the volume was on the way up. And then you can look as well at where all the volume was on the way off the high, and you'll see it's in pretty much the same place. So if sellers can hold under that level, it's not going to go higher. But additionally, if where you are entering is far enough away that you can actually target that range for a nice little scalp, I don't see anything wrong with it as long as you have the signal. Well, here you got trap back in, X, and white. Now the problem is, the question, I guess, it's not a problem. The question is it bullish? Because white works for bullish continuation. So if on this time frame it's bullish, it's probably going to work. And I'd say it is. We're still in supernova status. We're breaking over and closing over apexes, and we haven't taken out this important low. So I'd say, at least when it comes to, like, I'm not saying it has to break the high, but does it have a chance of making 10 points? Probably. You have also confirmation of the smaller time frame, but note this one got stopped first. See that? And that happens. You got white, and then brown, and then white again. That is usually a pretty good sign that you've got a counter rotation coming back up, because they could have gotten bearish continuation here, and they didn't. But really, to be sure, you need to get above their VPOC right there. So you'll know for sure that this is at least going to come back to that 11,435 most of the time by getting over that. If they don't, if you want to be conservative, wait for that to happen. They get plus sign, no pink bar, but they do close over it. So it's probably not going to explode higher, but it probably is going higher. Yeah, and they don't quite make it to the target, it looks like. See the pink bar? Oops. See how the pink bar is not in the right not in the right spot? The pink bar needs to be, come on. The pink bar needs to be right after the dynamite signal. It needs to be here, after the plus. When it comes to after the plus, it's not wrong, it's just the chances, you're going to risk more by taking it there. So if you really, what you want is not necessarily the very next bar, but like if this is white and then this is white and then it pulls back purple, purple, and then goes back up pink, but right here in this like shared zone, it's great. But when the pink bar is actually above the high, the low of the pink bar is above the high of the X. See that? That little space is probably going to get retraced first if it's going higher. So this should make sense. And now you'd want to wait for the next aggressive signal up, which could be like a triangle, a star up, stuff like that. So I don't know if you get that. Nope. So in that case, you would just wait and miss it and not miss the stop, I should say. Because here it stopped out. Notice we didn't get a bearish signal in this time frame. And we also didn't get a bearish signal in this time frame. So you can't just say, I mean, you can, but okay. If you're going to get in, if I'm going to get into a trade, remember I'm saying this for myself because this is a journal entry for me to show what I've learned this month. But if I'm going to get into a trade, I can't wait for the competing signal before exiting the trade. I must have a hard stop and exit regardless once I see that hard stop. Just because there's no reason to reverse my bias here does not mean I should stay long. There's no excuse for getting in here at the X and holding when this breaks down. No excuse. If I want to get back in, if it signals me in, that's one thing. But I don't want to, I don't want to hang with the trade. Now remember at the very beginning, for those who were here the whole time, I said that a green bar like this followed by a pink bar that also has the plus is a really, really strong signal when it's bullish. Well, the inverse of that also works, which is orange bar followed by a purple bar with a triangle and the plus to the downside, which is like a dark purple that's kind of hidden on purpose because I don't use them very often. It needs to be bearish. So when it gets bearish, that pattern works really well. Now, unfortunately, we did not get the confirmation that we're in a bearish trend with the brown. So I don't really have any reason to take it, but that's the signal. So that would be my first, another entry would be the star if I would have the bearish signal. Oh, we got it here. I didn't see it over here. So we got the bearish signal here on the star. So that would be an okay place to enter. It's pushing me forward because you wouldn't really know that this is a star until all three of these print, since these are so much smaller. So see, this one prints at 11.401.25. This one prints at 11.403.50. So if you were waiting for this star to print before you got bearish, you would first see this star, and then you would see this brown, and then as this one's starting to print, this is clear as day, and you can be like, oh, I'm going to at least potentially get a scalp to the downside. Okay, if you're with me still, congratulations, first of all, because this is confusing shit. But the third and final condition, right, the inverse conditions, remember so far we had pink for bullish and purple for bearish, and that's range expansion or potential momentum based on volume. Like what I call a DVP trade can potentially work here for reversals, but otherwise it's a magnet to wherever the volume was before, producing a range expansion. Pink being bullish, purple being bearish. Then we have the trend continuation, which is white for bull and brown for bear. The last condition that's got to invert the inverses is blue for bullish and yellow, which we haven't seen, for bearish. And what those are is it's a condition that I'm not perfectly sure how to use it, but the one really nice setup that they do a lot is something called a trap and release. So the idea with the signal, it's kind of a slower trade. The idea with the signal is when you see, for instance, the bullish version of it, when you see the blue, you don't buy the blue, you mark the blue. You say, okay, there's where that blue aggressive trader came in. If the bears take that level and get underneath it, and then they reclaim this range and break above it, it can squeeze really fast. But the hard part is that move can be like multiple waves. it's not just a trap back in trade like this one. It's not just make an apex, get underneath the apex, come back up within one up bar. Not like that. It can be like this entire wave and then break back up through it. So what we'll see here is they got bearish continuation on this time frame. They break underneath the blue area, the blue bar, significantly. See that? You can't get a trap back in anymore. It's too far away. They try, and it starts to look really bearish, right? I would think normally that this is going lower. And what they end up doing, if I remember correctly, well, I don't remember if it actually worked this time, but if it does, the long is when it breaks back up above this. Okay, let me see if it happened. I don't remember. We might have gotten the second blue one, and then maybe got it, or maybe didn't trigger. I don't recall. It might not have triggered. Did we just go lower? It might not have triggered at all. We can find one that did work. Let me just see. Oh, here we go. So after market. Oh, that was earnings, though. That's kind of unfair. But let's see. So here's the top. So they rejected the first try. Now, is it closed above it? It's this bar right here. It's basically that dashed line, the voodoo range level. It's damn close. If it's not this one, it's the next one. It's like on the line, whatever. So now it's for sure bullish. And it can be a big squeeze. But this is earnings, so it might not work. Let's see. Oh, we got another one. Blue. So I don't know what happens when they don't. See, it did not get the yellow line above it, did it? Maybe it needs the yellow line above it. Because usually what happens is it breaks above it and then just rockets. And so the fact that they rolled it here, I'd say that that did not work. Obviously, they're not all going to work. So here's another blue one. Let's see if this one works. So we're going to move this up to here. So they have to get under that and then back over this to release them. Sorry about the planes. Under. Oh, we're right there right now. Cool. Okay, let's go back and find another one. Let's find one that did work. Or we can find a yellow one and do it the other way. Okay, there's a yellow one. Let's see if the yellow one works. Okay. So the trade idea is yellow, market. Don't sell it, market. If we get above that and then reclaim it, it's probably going lower. Then we get another yellow here. Market. If we go below this one's got bigger range than the other one. If we go above this and then roll it over, it's probably going lower. Okay, oh, they didn't. Okay, so they get rejected here. They haven't gotten above it and then below it yet. Above it, now do they give it up? No more yellow here. Oh, they had another yellow. So now the level really is, this one is the highest and then this one is the most recent. I'm not sure which one matters. Let's just do it like that. We'll see. Such a new signal. I'm not sure which one to care about. So there's the test of the first one. Still has not triggered. See, I think we need to get the yellow line underneath this line on a bearish bar that's not purple. That's what my guess would be. And it might be the most recent one. Right there. So that one's gotten underneath the highest one. Do they bounce off the most recent one? They do. So wait, I'm going to wait for the most recent one. So I won't use this. I'll use this. I need the yellow line underneath it, which is as conservative as it gets, basically. I need to develop volume below that level. Wow, that worked as a beautiful support. Jeez. Okay, that might be a good use for it too. Did that work on the blue? Did it become, it did, right? Didn't this become resistance? This might be an even better way to use it. Did that not become resistance? When we came back up and rejected out of it? Oh, I see. They came up with pink bars only and then gave it back. So where is it rejected for good? Right there. Aha. So if we try to take it, but the back of the range holds, you might actually get a drop. Like you might get it to go the other direction. I don't know. Oh, but that one got above it. Look at that. Got one above it. So now what? So they tried to reject it. It's not going to work every time. They're trying to reject out of it right now. But notice this one here, the yellow. Where did the yellow go? From way back. Now this is a very small time frame too, so it might work better on a higher one. But this yellow was, oh, I've got it in the wrong spot. It's here. There we go. That's the most recent yellow, I believe. Let's see. Has that not been reached yet? No yellow, no yellow, no yellow. Oh, it did. It went through it. Went through it. You'd think that this would be a pretty big drop. And then they got pink and they rotated back through on earnings, I believe. And then there's the defense. Cool. Okay, let me see if I can find something similar on the higher time frame and see if it's a little bit better. Let me check. And maybe we'll find the catch release. So we're looking here for blue or yellow bars. Blue or yellow. Okay, there's yellow on that time frame. This is the one I'm least understanding, but I've seen it work visually. I just don't know exactly what the pattern is yet. They should be bright yellow or blue. Those are blue with purple, maybe? Those don't look quite right. Sometimes they overlap. I think that's just purple. It should be bright blue. Maybe I need to make that a little bit more clear. Because I think that's overlapping with purple. I don't know if that still works. Strange. It would only happen if you got a down bar on the blue one. But there should be like a bright blue all by itself. I think those are all purple. There we go. So I might need to make this a slightly different color. But here's the blue. So the idea would be get underneath these guys, then reclaim it, and it may spike. Let me see. Might not be a reliable signal. Okay, they just try to take it right away. Acts as temporary support. They get under it. That's what usually happens. They give it away. Now, do they retake? They might not retake it. Get stuck at the old single prints. It ran into to support and then became resistance. And I don't think we got back up there, if I remember correctly. No. Okay. So you can see they don't show up very often. Blue or yellow. Here, we could try this little yellow because we know it eventually goes lower. Let's see what this does. This yellow is this bar right here. Immediately fails as a bear signal, which I honestly see that a lot, that they go the opposite direction. They get trapped very easily. And then if they reclaim it, it can be, I've seen it be a trigger point there. So reclaimed, that's a purple bar. I want it underneath that. There. Reclaimed for sure. All the volume underneath that zone. It should now be resistance if I'm right. Yeah. And then does it act as resistance on the first test too? Right here. It doesn't. So it goes right under it right away, but it doesn't stay under it. What gets us back through it? Brown getting trapped. That makes sense. So sellers get trapped here, a lot of them. And once we've gotten over that, out we go. Okay. And then does this act as support? Yes. For a minute. For long enough for me. Okay, gave it up. Now I don't know if it's going to work at all because it's kind of already played through it quite a few times. Let's see. Oh, it kind of acts as resistance underneath it. Oh, it definitely acted as resistance there. Okay. And there. Huh. I don't know how long it lasts. There. Probably until we trap a seller underneath it. And then we get another yellow here. So what I'm wondering is, does it now shift? Or what? I don't know what to do about when they overlap like that. Get under them, not surprised, they go higher, and you get another one right there. And then this is what we saw before. And so now that's support because we're above them. So it's almost like a pivot. Above it, stays bullish. Get below it. Well, that one didn't work. Then get back above it. Yeah, it looks like it only works like for one time. Once it's acted as resistance and support, and then it comes back and bounces off of it, it's probably dead. But I'll keep looking. We'll keep practicing with that one. But that's the basic idea. So we've got the pink bar entries during momentum, when momentum is strong, preferably after when it follows something like a green bar or a POC above, or a blue divergence dot. On Simon's, it's a white divergent dot. But when these dots are followed by pink bars on triangles like this, and it's bullish, identified through either the algo or the volume or structure, it's in supernova, or that I've got trapped traders below me like this. See, that's a seller, and he's here, and I'm closing above it. So because those traders are trapped, even though I don't have a lot of volume yet, all it needs to do is go a little higher, and it can bust out. See that? And then, like I said, you can do this anywhere. So like purple bar, or purple plus, purple bar, lower. As long as it's bearish. How do we know it's bearish? Well, first of all, we got the yellow signal here that didn't immediately get wrecked. And second of all, we've got volume that's like basically equal to the previous buy volume. Volume to the downside. So both of those things are true. And then do we have a trap buyer too? No. To get a trap buyer, we need to get under that. So it might not be very far. Yeah, they come right back at it. And then they trap the yellow, and then they go. Okay, so I'll have to look at the yellows more. Like I said, it might work better like a trap than a pivot. And I might have to sort of rethink how to use those. But the other two, I'm definitely seeing how they're helping. And I had a pretty stellar day today. Oh, they erased it because it's a new day, didn't they? That's okay. Does anybody want to watch the algo during Asia? I don't know if it's interesting to anybody. If it is, I can mute out and leave it up for a bit. If it's not, I'll stop it here. And yeah, I don't want this to get too long. Or does anyone have questions or anything like that? Because it's getting a little bit late. And where the hell is it? 11:03. And I don't want these to be too long. So let me know if there's any questions, guys. I'll give you a minute. Otherwise, I'll get this all lined up and we'll see. If you want to see ES, I can do that too. Just put it in the chat.
All right, no questions. Otherwise, I guess we can. I mean, if it wasn't Asia, I'd say we just watch it. Maybe I'll turn it on later tonight um, for London. But it's just it gets so slow during Asia that there's just nothing to talk about. But it's a good time to research. What's happened in previous markets. One thing that if no one else wants to lead a discussion or like contribute to the discussion, I can keep going with it. But one thing that I'm curious about, let me erase my volume profiles, is if I look at the chart where here, let me just do this quick so I can focus. Hold on. Okay. So if I look here, oops, not that. Chart. If I hide the studies, and we look back at some of those key spots now that everyone knows, like kind of what how I'm looking at the patterns of the algo signals. If we go back and say like, okay, well, what did it look like? Pre-market during this low, and where would, based on those same patterns, where would we have known? Remember, I mentioned in the beginning that like you might know it's bearish here, but at what point do you know that it's time to get bullish? Well, in this tiny little time frame, you can see they're lined up. So this, we can cheat and say, well, there's the low coming up right here. And what did we have? Let's see what it said on this tiny time frame, and then we can compare it to the time frame we actually trade on and see if we could use them together. But let's just look at the small, tiny little time frame. So it's obviously bearish, right? And it's over. This is a pre-market. Oh, this is kind of unfair because this is economic release. So maybe that's not a good example. When was that? How long did that go? I guess it's not that bad, but when it's like crazy during economic release, it's like it's kind of like this all happened in 3 minutes, but we can still look at it. So they're saying range expansion to the downside. Okay, that began here. So this was the aggressive trader, the star and the star, and then these boxes. They're trying to pivot off of volume and expand range lower. So that makes sense. And then we had the inverse signal here, pink, meaning this guy is trying to expand the market higher. So there's an aggressive trader in there, basically trapping the sellers as they come down. Notice they placed the dynamite on the sell side, but we didn't get any purple bars right next to them to the downside. So they didn't really have much effort. No, they didn't have a spark. They had a lot of effort, no spark. So what that results in, we have a lot of effort and no spark, is usually a trap. That's what I'm used to seeing anyway. So in this case, we had bearish dominant volume, right? And then they said, hey, they're looking for range expansion. They get blue dot followed by pink bar with a triangle. That's a reliable entry as long as you have a bullish signal. Particularly if that pattern comes on the higher time frame, but the bull signal is on a smaller time frame. That's really good. So then that goes to resistance. You can see they got bearish continuation signals, right? And what we've said about that before is that if it's bearish, the next step is to go lower. So you could short this thinking it's bearish, and that's not wrong. If you see this, if you saw the big picture and you thought it was bearish, you might make that call, right? On this tiny little time frame, it's pretty tricky to know the difference between bearish continuation here versus bearish continuation here. They look pretty similar. You had pink, an attempt to expand range, followed by brown. Now the one thing I do see is that this pink one went nowhere. Look, that pink is this here and this, and they got here on their push. They got very little. They did not get a spark
No pink bar on the triangle. No spark. Not bullish, right, at all. Yet they got the bullish signal to expand range to the upside, and they tried and they failed. So that makes this guy more powerful. The opportunity here for him is good. Plus, we got this other signal, which, like I said, is kind of advanced, but if it's bearish and you get the bearish plus, if the very next bar is purple, it can just expand lower right away. But if the purple is lower than the plus and not touching the plus, generally you're coming back to this plus's range, and then you can short the next bearish signal. So now this one it came close to stopping. I think it stopped by like a point if you put your stop too close because of this little spike. So you would have had to put your stop behind this. If you were looking at the market, you'd probably know that you'd have to put your stop up there. But this one right away was clearly trapped, which is confirmed here. See how they try to get it over that and they can't? And instead they get a volume shift and then the aggressive breakout, the yellow box, which only works when it's really bearish. Now, just like we saw before when we were looking at that uptrend, note we're getting the momentum continuation signals. And so you have to identify that this is not bullish before you decide which signal to follow. You have to be able to see this and say, yeah, I don't see this as a bullish trend. Therefore, I'm going to trust the bear and look for these guys to get trapped unless I have evidence to the contrary. So what would those buyers getting trapped look like? It would be getting under that, at least. Getting under the lowest VPOC of those bars with the aggressive breakout boxes and the stars and the diamond. If it was bullish, these guys get a breakout. If it's bearish, they get trapped. You don't have to choose. You don't have to trade it, right? You can wait and see what happens. So once they get trapped, now if you get a pullback into that area, you can probably get a really low risk short, you'd think, as long as no sellers get stopped below, get stuck below. Note they do it again. More buyers down here. Buyers down here, they are in these two bars, the outlined red one and this one. And so what it basically says is if we can get under this, these guys are trapped, and we can do the exact same thing as we did just there. Now, what does it mean if they don't get trapped? If they don't get trapped, what my guess is, you might not get the low, but you probably won't get the breakout signal, and you would probably expect the market to come back and try to free some of the traders that got trapped recently. So let's see. Do we come back up to this white line if they break over this red candle? They break over the red bar. So after seeing white followed by a breakout, we should not be bearish at the moment. This line should no longer be sold because their direction is now working. So I would not take that as a short unless I got another brown signal. But without another brown one, these buyers got trapped. You'd think it goes lower. These buyers should get trapped again if it's bearish. If you look at the actual indicators, there's divergence here. See that it goes higher on the indicator, but lower on price. It doesn't mean it's the low, but that's the kind of thing a low tends to look like. And then the other thing that's a dead giveaway is on the way down, we had a really weak volume wave. This wave was really weak. And then they pushed really hard to the upside. See how big this jump was? To the point where these guys had more volume than on the way down. Then they got a capitulation wave that was bigger than this one. So if we get over this orange trader and back up to here, buyers will have volume control. So it's nuanced. You don't have to know how to read that if you just wait for the signals. But that would be your first hint that if you're trying to short, you might want to pay attention to that because now it's saying I might not want to be short because they could be heading up here and I can wait to see if they reject that before I take a short. So You can see there's no more sell signals here. They rip into this range trying to free these guys. And so this is a good example of a short that I would have typically taken, but I may avoid unless I have a higher time frame trigger. So let's see if I do. Let's put the chart pattern, the chart studies back on the higher time frame. Whoops. Do I have reason to sell it or think differently about it on the higher time frame? So on this time frame, clearly bearish from way back here, right? We got a bearish continuation signal here. Perfect. It's usually a breakdown. And we get it. We get the dynamite, but no spark. And no purple. No spark at all. So that by itself is like, wait, why aren't they pushing lower? And why was the plus sign positioned at the breakout point rather than the purple bar being positioned there like it usually is, like this? This is what you want to see, preferably with it on the triangle, like this. Purple bar with a triangle. That's how breakouts should look. When this isn't the breakout, but instead it looks like... See, this one is even not too bad because it's purple coming through. That's not too bad. But instead, when it looks on the higher time frame, you had breakdown, nothing, right? All the purple was done over here. So purple is buyers giving up. They're pulling orders off the order book. I don't have to watch the DOM. The algo does it for me. And it says, hey, price is moving down. But it's moving down because orders are getting pulled off the order book. And so the sellers, don't even have to work that hard, yet price is dropping. So there used to be buyers here, and suddenly they gave up. Well, when that happens, and it's bearish, usually the next step is take profits, make sure there's still sellers up here, and then roll over. That's what you should expect when it's bearish. Then as it rolls over and breaks out, what we should see is more purple bars, because any short-term traders that bought this are now off sides. And so if they were going to add to their order, they might suddenly decide not to, and that would be a sign of acceleration into the low, right? Note that all the volume here is to the downside, and the up volume is like nothing. And then look at the next wave. This next wave down is minuscule compared to this one, yet it went lower. So divergence to the downside. So bullish divergence in volume to the downside, right? They're going lower, but they have less and less volume committed. Way less people selling the low than there were selling just a little while ago, a little higher. So we got the continuation signal there. Then here it says, just like it did on the smaller time frame, bullish continuation. And it's like, oh, that's interesting because it's bearish, so he'll probably get trapped. That should be our assumption. That all we have to do is trade under this guy and he'll be trapped. That's probably what's coming next most of the time. This time, it's not worth shorting. There's no short signal, right? The short signal was up here for the scalp. And then it said, maybe get out of your short, wait for the retest, and let's see if we can trap him too. Market doesn't go lower. It goes higher. Then there would be your typical short signal. But the problem with that, I mean, it's not wrong. It's just that all of a sudden now you have a buyer that had success. Every other time we had buyers before this, see that success? Every other time before this, on the way down, on the smaller time frame, what did buyers get out of their buys? Here was a buy signal, nothing. Here was a buy signal, nothing. Right? That's bearish momentum. Like here they couldn't even muster a buy signal. Here they got a little bit, so they still had a chance here, right? And this one they got a decent lift from it. So at this point, it's not like, oh my God, it's so bearish, right? You have maybe 50-50 chance of it going in either direction. But then when it's like, it's starting to, the buy signals aren't really doing much. And then the buy signals just produce traps like this. Well, now you know bearish momentum's increasing. Bearish momentum's increasing. See how it can't go anywhere? That all changes. Not here. You don't know here. But you do know here that there's a change in character. You're suddenly getting a much bigger move for your buy signal. So something's up. Probably not enough to buy, but I might skip that sell seeing that this one actually worked. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. There's no sell condition here, but you could say that this sell condition gave allowance to short the retest. Again, I don't think it's wrong. It's just very aggressive. The purple bar is on the bar with the plus. That's okay, but I prefer this one to be an orange bar like this, not a star. But it's okay. Okay, they come down to a low, and on the smallest time frame, they get that blue indicator, which says again, if you get how I know it works is if you get under it and then you reclaim it, it can squeeze. I don't know what else you can do with it. So let's mark off that area. It's a pink bar, and it came right after a plus sign. So this is dynamite spark with the blue. Does it immediately lift? No. It does not immediately lift. So it's not bullish yet. Not bullish enough for that to work. But do they hold the low? Green plus, you get more. No pink bar this time. That's a breakout signal. That's kind of weird. Isn't this purple? That's weird. That's a bearish signal. Is that the purple? I think it is. Oh, I know how to find out. Let me check the source. Sometimes they overlap a little bit. Let me just check the source. This is purple, and this is, I might need to change these. Hold on. They're too close. I shouldn't have to look this close. Let me fix this. See if I can do it with one false swoop here. Blue bull. Let's make it, the other one's purple. So it needs to be like either really bright. What does that do? Does that affect it? Let me try this. Because see, these look slightly different, but it might not be a blue bar. Yeah, see, this is the blue. So this is actually a mix of brown and purple. And it just happens to look kind of blue. It's actually brown with purple. I want it to look like this, but I'm having trouble with it looking correct on here. And so I might need to change one of the signals some way because that's too similar to the blue. I got thrown off by that too until I saw the purple, that this is actually bearish. So this isn't a bullish trap. That's a bear. They're asking for range expansion to the bear side. And this is consolidation. So I'm pretty sure that might actually fail. But you've also got the continuation. The brown is also there. So it also has this signal at the same time. And I don't know what to do about that. It just both of them are actually triggering at the exact same time. Is that more bearish? Is that less bearish? I actually don't know. No idea. But let's mark it because that's interesting, if nothing else. So it's these two here. What happens when you have brown with purple? Oh, I know what I can do. I can make the purple deeper. Will that help? Let me see if I make the purple deeper. Let's see. If I make the purple a deeper purple color, will I still be able to see it? That's the real question. I can still see it. What if I make it like this? Ah, there we go. Now, how can I tell that it's brown though? So what if it's got a little bit more transparency? Is it more clear that it's got a brown behind it then? Doesn't really change anything. Okay, well, I will save it. And we'll see how it looks. So purple. Range expansion. Yeah, see, this is brown and purple, and regular purple. So I don't know. I don't know how to. I mean, it's like really dark, but here, let me try one more time. Now that I can see both of them, let me see what happens if I adjust this now. So what if I do? Oops, sorry. What if I do like 80? Yeah, that doesn't help. And is there any other color that would be easier to discriminate? Let's see, they still look awfully similar. And this one's got the continuation signal too. So maybe one way or another, the solution is fix the continuation signal. Rather than having this brown, perhaps. What is black? Oh no, then it won't be see-through. I don't want to have too many colors introduced. What if I do more of like an orange? It still doesn't really affect this one, interestingly. And what if I make it like not transparent at all? Or, I mean, yeah. Yeah, see, it's very obvious here, but I don't see much difference here. I'm pretty sure that's what's making that dark. Unless it's, yeah, no, it says it's that one. Which brown was it? Was it? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But let's try this. It's got to have a little bit more than that. How about 40? Let's try. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be bearish continuation for now. I will keep working on it. All right, so one way or another, that's something unusual that has to do with the purple. Makes it darker purple. See, in this one, wait, is that the pink? Those are way too close together now. Shoot. Oh, is this purple and then this is pink with brown? I see it now. I was changing the wrong one. We need to change the pink. That's the problem. This needs to be more like fuchsia or salmon or something like that. Let me see. Garbage man, sorry. Oh, shoot. Now that went lower. So I want it like this. Now, that is very clear, but this is not. Okay, well, that's okay. That's better. This is easier to see, purple to pink. That's what I care about. Oh, I did that in the wrong place. Studies. It's got to be on the source one. Above. No, it's this one. Too many signals. Okay, so it was pink. And I think I did like 10. Okay, that's very clear. Save. Yeah, that's very easy to see. And like I said, these in-between ones, I'm just going to have to figure out how to interpret this, but it's clearly bearish and not bullish. That's what matters. I just don't know how to use it beyond that. So very pink, range expansion, bearish continuation. So we saw it. They said we're going to push. This is a bullish pattern on a very small time frame, and these were bearish as well. So these guys, this should be resistance. As long as they don't break above that, those buyers trapped up there are stuck. They get trend continuation here, and I would normally think that's a good spot to go. But on the higher time frame, what I was saying is the problem is that we've got purple and then purple with brown, so continuation here, and then just purple here, and we're not getting the range expansion that you'd expect to see with these purple bars, more or less. So if we can break over them, in fact, maybe even over just their VPOCs, whoops, even over just their VPOCs. Oh shit, what did I do? I lost it. Where was that? I'll find it. It was the morning. I hit a button on my keyboard on accident, sorry. Was not trying to cheat. Where the hell was that? Early in the morning? Pre-market? Shoot. Here? Yeah. So they start to go kind of sideways, right? Is this it? Yeah. So they start to go sideways. These guys, bearish continuation and range expansion, and then just a range expansion, bearish continuation, and range expansion here, and you get really neither. You don't get continuation, you don't get range expansion to the downside. Then it says continuation lower, so they're going to try again for continuation lower, and they fail. This guy closed clearly over here. This is not the right pattern. So we want the pink to be here or here if this is green. Green, then pink with a triangle and a plus, that's good. But plus, then pink is also good. If the pink is in the wrong spot, it probably needs a pullback. Yeah. So now, this is interesting. This says continuation lower is likely here. And so it's expecting to go lower at this point. That's what we should expect. And so they're rejecting this. So I guess for the time being, they have not fully freed these guys on this time frame. Or is it this time frame? Where did that line come from? It's this time frame. Bull continuation failed. They come back up and back up and test. Wait, where was it? Bull continuation. Right there. Only get a pink bar above it, and then get pink bar, orange bar with continuation. As far as I know, that's a valid signal. Yeah, okay, good. I was like, I really hope this breaks down because I think that's a short. So on this time frame it is, you get that follow through. Pretty sure X followed by purple usually gives continuation. If it doesn't, something's not right. Oops. Like it's not bullish, in other words. So continuation lower, purple bar. So remember, orange with purple with the triangle. If this is a plus, it's gonna drop. But there's a spark here and no dynamite. So if this is consolidation, the purple down here are not gonna help us. This is looking there. These are traders that are trying to position themselves in front of a range expansion, but they need a breakout. So they're trying with these yellow boxes, and they're not getting anything. So this is their second attempt. First they tried range expansion, then they tried trend continuation, but they did not get the dynamite. They didn't get the plus. These, see, when they got the plus, and then they got purple, they got trend continuation. Plus, trend continuation sign, plus dynamite. Now you need the spark. They didn't get it. Rip back up. Plus spark. Everything's lined up now, but now there's no trend continuation sign because there's bulls in the way. So they had to get under here. They try to trap this bull. He gets saved. So I think the easiest way to say this is that when you have a white on a higher time frame like this, getting under him, white right here, getting under it with just price, but not really putting like a lot of bars down here, just wicks like this, or maybe like the end of a bar but not the whole thing, and then saving it right here, I'm thinking that that right there might be enough to buy dips from now on. And then you get the X with the blue, which is again looking for range expansion. Range expansion makes sense now. We had a trader that was potentially trapped get released. And that's exactly when you get range expansion. So range expansion, I would think now higher. Breakout box, range expansion, pink. That should go. Dynamite. No spark. Too bad. But on the small time frame, dynamite spark to the downside with the breakout box. The problem is that we're not at support. So if this would have happened down here, probably breaks down. But they committed all that dynamite way up high just to get back to support. So right now the bulls are starting to get a little bit more momentum, and the bears are having to work a lot harder just to get back to where they were before. So there might be trapped shorts down here. Let's see. This is a really strong bar. It should drop. And they can't. See that? So when these really strong bars can't drop, and because look, when you get a plus sign and you get under that plus sign, it shouldn't be that hard to break down, because that's dynamite that never got a fuse, right? So if this gets broken down instead of continuation, if this gets immediately broken down instead of having a bar of continuation, it's yeah, that's potentially a problem. Here they try to break it down. Oh, maybe they will break out. Nope, they're gonna go higher. So down here, trend continuation, but the breakout box. Trend continuation with a breakout box. Purple bar. Fail. And so the hint was way back here that we're not at support, yet we're putting in breakout. We're putting in boxes, we're putting conditions in that they usually reserve for breakouts. So that's interesting though, because I wonder if that means, because I know those boxes work well with the brown signals as long as it's at support. But what's interesting to me is that it didn't work when they lined up with the purple. And I wonder if that's a consistent pattern. See it? Brown, that just got to support. Do we have one? Do we have some more examples of that? Let's see if we can find another example of that. Or pink with a white, oh no, a blue box would work too. Or white with a blue box. Let's just back up and see, because that was clearly the bottom. It wasn't really obvious, but once that occurred, you had to stop shorting, because now buyers are having success. That's really what I was getting to. Well, I guess we'll come back to this. So let me just finish the thought. So here, you're expecting trend continuation to the downside. It looks pretty strong. They beat a plus. It should be relatively easy. They follow through with a purple bar, and that should on this time frame, it looks done. This looks toast. But the problem is they flipped it. Now trend continuation to the upside. So they are saying, well, if it's bullish, it's going to go higher. Well, all of a sudden you look, and on this tiny little time frame, we're making higher highs and higher lows. We've got supernova. So if you trap underneath this, it's probably going to lift. You also had what looks like dominant volume on the last push up with the dynamite. So yeah, the fact that this move failed, isn't that what happened over here too? Didn't the plus followed by pink fail, and then that resulted in continuation or consolidation? Plus, oh, there's no pink after it. Oh wait, other direction. Plus, purple fails. Consolidation, breakout. And this is saying breakout. White, 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 white. So by the time it gets here, it's like, oh, they were trying to do continuation lower, and now suddenly they're saying if it's bullish, it could actually go continuation higher. But we're not resistance, so there's really no reason to buy it. There's no breakout signal, but then all of a sudden you get the breakout signal here, and so that's what I was looking for, is brown with the box versus blue with the box, with the or white with the blue box, and it looks like they set up pretty much inversely, but the difference was that the blue was followed by a cross, whereas the yellow was followed by a purple. So is there any other situations where we have boxes followed by crosses that work, and boxes that follow by pink or purple that don't? So box, cross, continuation. Okay, let's find some more. Box, no, we need both. Box, pink, roll over. Is it bullish? No. So that makes sense. Okay. Keep going. Oh, did I go too far? Did I run? Oh no, here they are. Box, purple bar on a triangle, and it does continue. Now, what's happening there? Because that's different. Oh, we still have the signal for trend continuation, potential breakout, even though you're not at support. And it goes. Box, purple, goes. Trend continuation. That all lines up, even though it's not a plus and it's a purple. So there's another. So this is already bearish, is what that tells me. You're not trying to turn the market. It's already bearish. The blue just fails. It's already bearish. Box, triangle with the purple bar, continuation. It's already bearish. So even if you don't sell that, box plus sign on the triangle, right? Then pink bar, but that's not white. That's blue, I think. Maybe it's blue and white, but this is not bullish, and it tries to work, and then that gap down, that's kind of unfair. Box, pink bar, when it's not bullish, that's not going to work. Box, plus, trend continuation, probably going lower most of the time. Perhaps even out of consolidation. Box, plus, no trend continuation. I'm not sure what happens here. In this case, it actually works for a little bit. Let's see. Box, plus, pink bar, white. Boom. That's very good. Box, nothing. Actually still works. Probably bearish. If the box doesn't need any support, box plus pink bar, that's probably bullish. And you get one more push. But there's no continuation signals in there. Interesting. Box, pink bar, works without the continuation signal. Yeah, as I say, that's usually only when it's bullish. Boom. Okay. Box, purple bar, no plus, continuation, probably bearish continuation. Nothing here, and no continuation signals. Okay, what about on the higher time frame? No. Box gets ruined right away. That's interesting, because then he gets reclaimed and they rip it over. They turn it, roll it over. Okay. Oh, have I run out of? Nope, there they are. Box plus with a pink bar, probably bullish if it has a trend continuation sign. It does. Pullback goes. The fact that the pink bar's here rather than here probably makes, I don't know. But then box, pink bar, trend continuation, it's bullish. That's going to work. But once you take that box back, I think it's over. Ah. Now I'm getting it. Is that the end of the boxes on this time frame? I think I've gone too far on that time frame. Let me check this one. Box, plus sign with the purple bar, no continuation signs. It should still work even if it's not bearish. It looks like that pattern is pretty consistent for a scalp. Box, purple bar, no continuation sign. It's only going to work if it's bearish. And if it fails, it's probably bullish. Notice plus, pink bar, not working. Why? Probably because it's not bullish. Yeah. Plus, no pink bar. There it is, pink bar. So see how this is separated, but their range is shared? That, in my opinion, that's cool. It might need a pullback, but it's good. Yeah. Right there is good entry. Oh, nice. Box, pink bar with the plus. And it's clearly bullish with continuation signal. Should go. Look at that. Okay. Box plus continuation signal. Probably continues. Oh, it does not. No pink bar. No pink bar. And it's way too high. Look how far that's gone. Get under that plus with a purple bar and it's over. Get under this box with pretty much anything and it's over. So you gotta be out there. Okay, keep going. Let's look for boxes. Let's try to better understand these momentum breakouts. Box plus, that's usually going to continue. Pink bar, it might be a big breakout. Well, maybe, but there's no continuation sign. Ah, and is there a trapped buyer? They come back up to this one. They tried to get it going. I was thinking take the pullback, but this is bearish trend, bearish range expansion they're trying for here. And they consolidate and get continuation, but no box. And it just rolls. That one did. It's interesting. It was so quick, and then the pullback didn't last, even though we had the plus right after the box. But there was no continuation sign down here, so maybe that's why. Box, nothing. Box, nothing. Box, purple bar. It'll only work if it's bearish, and there's no bearish continuation. I don't know. Yeah, see, it's gonna get choppy now. Probably missed that one. Plus, followed by pink bar. Is it bullish? No. No bullish signal here. Last signal was bearish. It was bearish up here. That's where they're headed. That's the short. Oh, it goes higher. Interesting. Oh, you had it on the smaller time frame. Tricky. Plus, nothing. Pink bar pullback. Buy the pullback. Nope. There. Box. Nothing. No continuation. Wait. Box. Nothing. Wow. They're just trapping these guys. Yeah. That's tough. So the white with the blue like this can be pretty nasty traps. I don't know what to do about the blue and the yellow, but they're clearly significant. Breakout, pull back into the blue and white. They try and fail. Okay. Pink bar. Just looking for boxes for the time being. It's easier to understand this stuff if you go one step at a time. And I thought I saw a pattern. I want to see if it continues. Nothing there. Box. Orange. Yeah. See, these boxes don't go anywhere. And there was no continuation. They're trying to do range expansion. And they're getting consolidation. So we need to wait. There's the bearish signal. And that goes nowhere. They're trapped. There. Box. Plus. This will work even if it's not bearish for at least a scalp most of the time. If it is, I mean, even if it's not bullish. But then they flip it. Ah, clever. Oh, wow, back and forth, and then finally gets the pink bar right there. So box plus pink bar with trend continuation finally at the end. Jeez. Box plus No pink here, interestingly. But we definitely get the breakout in the higher time frame. Box plus this one's kind of high. Pink bar. Yeah, that's bullish. Wow. No trend continuation. Looking for range expansion. Be careful. Plus, yeah. This is probably going to roll back. You got the X up here. And this is our last buyer. So this is all just capitulation. Box. Pink bar. If it's bullish, it goes higher. Wow. And we got bullish continuation signal. Okay. Plus purple. Range expansion. That's bearish, I imagine, here. Unless you beat it. Plus pink bar. That's higher. Oh, man. That's hard. You got to hold it. Look at that. Consolidation plus met with an X. Plus met with an X. Is that what they do? Do they sneak under it and rip? Right here? Nope. No, they just totally dump it. So this one got trend continuation. It was followed by a plus, but there was no indicator on here. Ah, we had the yellow ones now. So yellow on X. After trading behind some other yellow ones, trap back in, box, purple bar. If it's bearish, it's going lower, and it does. Okay. Well, at least that's consistent. Oh wait, was that box and this X is on a yellow, and then this X is on. It's after the plus, so I gotta watch for that. Plus followed by X in the opposite direction. Yeah. Okay. Box, pink bar, that'll only work if it's bullish. It is. Continuation is here. Plus going the wrong way, and then plus going the correct way. Here's X followed by plus. Box, pink bar with a triangle. No continuation trade, but if it's bullish, it'll keep going. Oh, and then, yeah, purple, purple, purple. Getting all that aligned is what seems to work the best. Okay, this alone is usually pretty good, but I prefer this to be pink, so it might need a pullback, but this is pink. Yeah, so it just rips. So if it's range expansion, those pink on the bottom can be pretty strong. No boxes here, no X's, no pluses. Okay. Box, nothing. Plus, nothing. So you gotta be careful with this. It's bearish. And we're below that. So you don't want to take plus pink bar. That'll hurt. It's bearish. Even though by this point you've got dominant wave up, it's not bullish unless we can overtake this trapped one. Tough. No. Plus on this one, and then X on this one. Does that go higher? No, it reverses. Okay, so they gotta be on the same. Plus, purple bar. If it's bearish, it goes lower. And it does. X. Then plus. Nothing. Looking. Okay, yeah, box, but nothing after it. Oh, he gets chopped up. Okay, so plus, orange the other direction, plus, X the other direction. No, he gets trapped. So does this box here. Gets trapped. Plus, little while, pink bar, higher. So it's bullish, and we have bullish signals here, and then these signals getting trapped. That's what works the best. Just what I said in the beginning, just trap a bearish one, and then get the bullish aggressive signal, plus, and then continuation likely, pink bar, go. That worked beautifully today. Plus, continuation likely, oh wait, no continuation likely, plus, and then purple bar, This one says range expansion, which in this case would be a lower low. Almost. Yeah, plus on a pink bar needs a pullback. Plus nothing, pink bar needs a pullback. Purple, purple, purple. You'd think you'd get range expansion. They're going to certainly try to go lower. Purple box, purple. If it's bearish, it's going lower right now. Then you get blue, pink, and blue dot. Pink is a really strong signal. Ah, blue dot, box, plus. A pink bar and this explodes. There's the spark. There's the dynamite. It's gone. Now it gave you another chance to get in here. Plus nothing, pink bar, probably a pullback. Plus pink bar not on the high time frame. There's a little pullback. Juke, go. Wow. Okay. X with a dot again. Oh, that one doesn't work. Interesting. They tried for range expansion and it did not work. Plus, purple, bear continuation. You'd think it goes lower and it does on that time frame. But then box, pink, although no bull continuation. What happens now? They fail. Cool. Okay, nothing after the boxes over there. This box is pink. I don't know if that matters. That box actually landed on the triangle. Interesting. Okay, X plus. We saw the opposite of that go and with the second signal. Oh, this one totally works. Oh, we also had green bar plus. Green bar plus. It's better if it's pink, but the plus is good. Even on its own. Nothing here. Just continuation. X, purple. Box, pink. Is it bullish? Yeah, it's probably going higher. Or maybe it's not bullish. How would we have any box, pink? This one looks like it's going higher. The X gets in the way. They take liquidity. They give us continuation lower signal up here all by itself. And then we get an X. Yeah, those X's can be brutal if they've got a marker on it. See, this one doesn't, again, and it doesn't really go anywhere. This one does, and it does go somewhere. And then we get confirmation here with box, purple with a triangle, when it's bearish. That should work. Yeah. Okay, that's not too hard. See, this X gets confirmation down here, but it is supernova, but there's no, that's tough. How do you avoid this trap? We still get this. Do we have trap buyers? Over here, no. X, X, plus. We got onto the plus with a purple bar. That might be important. Under the plus with a purple bar. Plus, get over that with a pink bar. Yep, because now all the traps are failing. Okay, so if you've gotten under a blue plus with a purple bar, and apparently even if you've gotten blue or purple pluses, you might want to hold off on the buys until they get trapped. Breakout box, fail. And look, they try to do range expansion here on the blue X again. See, the white one didn't actually work, and then it did. That happens. This one didn't get its pink bar. It's also just not bullish. Then we got the big volume that just tries and fails. Just no complete. Basically, what I'm saying is there's no complete pattern. It's like pieces of the pattern, but no complete pattern to turn it. Box, box. That's nothing. Just continuation based on this alone and the star. But it's nothing that's it's just a continuation signal. Nothing to spin it. Okay, so they try to do range expansion at the bottom. That can get you back to wherever volume is. We talked about that. That's probably what happened. Let's see. Where was volume in here? At the highs? Or the lows? the lows. So once you've gotten over volume, pink plus pink, and it's gone because all the volume is at the low. So the DVP works beautifully there. That was earnings though. See, I would think that this would be bullish. Let's see here. What happened here? I mean, oh, this is 5 seconds, not even a second after the earnings, so we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so like somewhere in here. Plus pink fails. So what's up with that? Why didn't this work? Range expansion consolidates, bearish. Range expansion to the upside, continuation upside, and it goes higher. And then plus sign, they try to take it, it gets pink after it, and that continues. That all looks bullish on this time frame. Trend continuation if it's bearish, plus, that might be the problem. Purple, there it is. They try to flip it with blue. Here's blue. And they go lower. Wow, so blue results in some chop. And then they take it. And that's what I've seen happen before. Now, if they get back above that, I've seen that become support in the future. But this is clearly not going to work for bullish continuation. And you got box breaking down with purple. Wow. Plus purple lower. Okay. All right. No questions, guys? I'll give you one more chance. So if people have questions, send them on over. If you want to see ES, same thing on ES. Show you. Well, otherwise, I'm going to go take a nap or something. So for ES, we have the 4 tick. So each bar needs 1 point of movement in the same direction to print one. And we have the 6 tick. So you need 1.5 points. Now these ones are showing upright with the purple, but sometimes it's not. So it looks a little easier to read. Let me just check something here. Yes. Analysis. Flex numbers. Is that going to change how those look? Yep. Cool. I was like, wait, they don't match. Okay. File save. All right. Bearish continuation. That must be blue and white. It's like coming across as green. Is that right? What's this? No, that's something else. What is that? I don't remember what I put for green. Am I just that tired? Huh. Not sure. Green. I'll think about it. Pretty sure, I thought it was just a mix, but strange. Okay. Brown with purple. Box, purple, drop. Box, plus pink, rip. Let's see, they try for range expansion, they get trapped, plus rip. Try for range expansion, they succeed, plus they try to rip it. Come back up. Arrow down, so absorbing buyers, followed by X, and they sell it. Retest, that's interesting. White way at the top. I don't know why it's so bright. It's a mess with that. Pink's trying for range expansion, they get consolidation, probably bearish. Same thing here. Trying to get range expansion, not working. Bearish. Plus, box, lower. Yeah, the green I'm not sure about with that. I'm going to look into it. I'm getting it on the other signal too. Let me double check what that is. I think I know what it is. White. Orange. Pink. Purple. Yellow. Blue. So what else is it? This? Ah. I don't even remember putting those in. It was so long ago. What color is this? Ugh. Divergence. Based on what? I don't even remember putting these in here. So bull divergence is the green. Bear divergence is like too similar to brown. Let's do like I was gonna say black, but it's already black. Let's do we'll do like red. Does that change it? Oh, it's chart region 1. Is it hidden? No. Huh. I don't remember what that is. That's not it. Okay, hold on. Let's try this one. Do I have the line? Been doing this for so long, I forgot what all my signals are. Divergence detector. I could have sworn that might be it, but just wondering if maybe I put something in the wrong. Chart region 2. This should be chart region 3. This is chart region 1. Hold on. I guess I can do this without being on the recording. I just hoped I could fix it easily. And I have no idea where it's coming from. It's funny. It's got to be like a mixture of the two. Hold on, I have an idea. Let me see what the PNF chart looks like. Yeah, it's green a lot of the time. It's got to be a mix of the two, like white and blue. It's got to be. Got to be. That's my only explanation, because it's here too. It's got to be white and still got the blue, right? Oh wait, is that the blue? Is it just colored different? Maybe it's the blue. Hold on. Is that just the blue? Pink. Purple. Bull. No. But this can be a lot less. Let's see if that changes anything. That shifted the blue. Blue. That's got to be with blue and white. So what's this? Oh, is it like brown with blue maybe? It's got to be a mixture. I think probably the easiest thing to do would be to hide the studies one at a time. How does it? Yeah, so that's, man. That's brown, but it's not orange. How does that happen? Here's blue right here. So it just comes across. I know what it is. It's because the background is gray. Oh my god, that's annoying. So it looks different because the background is different. See, if you look real close here, it changes. Okay. That's got to be it. So it's blue, but it looks green because the background is different there. That's got to be it. Got to be. What's this? I don't even know how we get those combinations. Well, one way or another, I will keep messing around with it. I've got the basic ideas. I'm just not fully sure how to. Uh-oh. Something got moved to the wrong place. Okay, I'm gonna have to mess with this a little bit. Let me see if I do this. If I go back to this, does this fix it? It moved it. Okay, I'm gonna mess with this and see if I can't fix it. But I just want everything to be consistent. And right now ES and NQ look different, so I will figure it out. But thanks for checking this out. Hopefully it was helpful. It was definitely informative for me. I will keep trucking every day and share how I'm doing next week. So hope you guys